This is
a Wes Bentley vehicle.
It is from our buddy director Frank Calfon, who was actually Jimmy in High Tension. I don't know if you knew that or not, but this is P2. See, the thing about this that I thought was interesting that I didn't even really realize till I was watching it is that this movie was co-produced by Alexander Aja, who must have been friends with the director Frank. His name again?
Now,
Frank Calfon.
Who was Jimmy in High Tension? I'm trying to remember.
Well, buddy, fuck if I know. I know he's in that movie though.
Okay. He might have been like an extra or something.
He might have been one of the guys in the scene where they pull up to the gas station.
Yeah, maybe. So, yeah, this is...
Shit, he could have been a little kid for all I know.
Right. Young woman, I believe her name is Rachel Nichols. That name sounds very familiar. What else was she in? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was trying to think of this again recently, but I'm not entirely sure.
Anyway, it's Christmas Eve. She's working late, and she finally gets off. Is going to go home to celebrate the Christmas holiday with her family, and her car will not start. Okay, and the parking area is P2. The level she's in is P2. So that's how they got the name.
Isn't that neat?
Okay? It's got a tagline: "A new level of terror."
Holy shit! I'm in this parking garage.
Along the way, she meets up with Wes Bentley's character, which is Thomas, who at first is just a friendly security guard that works there.
Now tell me this. Is Wes Bentley the son bitch that was in American Beauty?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just making sure, because I knew I'd seen that guy before somewhere.
Yeah, and he was in the Soul Survivors movie with Eliza Dushku.
Eliza Douchebag.
Yeah. So, yeah, she gets in contact with him. He tries to help her out at first, but eventually she realizes that this guy's a loon, so she tries to get away from him. And what does he do? He does, he chains her up to this table or something like that. And
well, basically he sets up like a Christmas dinner at this table and then chains her to the table and makes her eat with him because he's lonely. I mean, he basically admits that.
I'm lonely!
To her.
Richard Dickens.
And he has her like call her parents and tell them that she's not coming and all this stuff. And then there's a lot of weird little stuff in this movie. Like he's a huge Elvis fan apparently too, and like she breaks loose, of course, and that's not what happens first. What happens first is that he actually watched her get hit on by this guy that was in an elevator with her on one of the cameras.
He gets all the footage and he records some of it.
Yeah,
and stuff
he records
like
some of it for himself and stuff like that.
So he's pretty much stalked her for a while, and now it's his chance. You know, he's wants to get a piece of Rachel Nichols' poontang pie, if you will.
This is true,
and it's pretty much just a stalk and chase movie after that, and it's got some pretty cool death scenes.
Yeah, it really does, which is understandable when you realize that Aja had something to do with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of along the same lines. Really.
Here's what I think hurt this movie from being a mainstream film that would have been successful. And it's just my opinion. I didn't really talk to you about this. I think that they miscast Wes Bentley in this role severely. I think that you probably needed not somebody that was a name, but I don't think the guy could even pull off the role. Like, I didn't believe that for a minute, that, you know, he was a crazy loon like that. He just looked like a guy that was acting.
Here's the weird part about that, then. Like, I actually thought Wes Bentley was the most believable part about the whole film. Really? Because I thought Wes Bentley was creepier than fucking American Beauty. And that was before, like, I even had any inclination he would ever be in a horror film. I just thought the guy looks like a creepy old son of a bitch, and I suspect that's what somebody else thought when they were casting him for this role.
I just think, though, that, I don't know, I mean, he just didn't do it for me. I didn't think that whether or not that Wes Bentley does it for you or not in this movie, like, I think that the real thing that holds this movie together is Rachel Nichols. I mean, she's like the main driving force behind the movie, really. Well, that's what I'm saying. If they could have had somebody that would have worked with her. See, I didn't think that those two had chemistry either that well together. I don't know. I mean, I thought Wes Bentley actually did a really good job in American Beauty. I just think that this wasn't his role. I don't know. I could see somebody else, you know, in it that may have, you know, to me, may have made this movie more of a success theatrically or something. I don't know. But I liked the movie. I thought the movie was really good, surprisingly.
Amazingly, it's one of those films where it absolutely
is marketed horribly. It has nothing going for it that would make anybody...
Horrible name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing going for it that would make anybody that was not just a diehard horror fan pick it up.
Yeah.
But it's like 10 times better than a lot of the films that get a lot more publicity and press, too. And I think that really has to do with the actors in the film. And that's what I was going to say anyway, is that the main thing... Because there's only 2 people really in the whole film. The main thing that holds the film together has to be the acting. And the way that Wes Bentley's character in the film, he never really, to me, he never really goes completely insane. He's just always just a creepy acting dude throughout the course of it. He kind of always clings on to Sandy. And there's one scene in particular I remember where he gets really mad at her because she keeps saying his name over and over again to try to make him humanize him. He starts screaming at her for doing that, which you don't really ever see that in horror films, but that you see people trying that all the time in different films too.
And this one actually comes from Summit Entertainment, which I'd never heard of before.
I think that's a pretty new company because I just recently started getting screeners and stuff from them too. Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, I don't know. I know it was released theatrically because I remember the ads and stuff on our site. I think a few bad choices. Like, the big one probably was the name. They should have called it something else. I mean, that's a horrible name to begin with. And I think that the acting, Rachel Nichols, I think she did a really good job. But I think that the thing that hurt it is it didn't have any name recognition with any of the actors or anything like that. And today in mainstream movies, you pretty much have to have that.
Well, from a marketing perspective, there's a ton of things that hurt that movie. I mean, the fucking packaging, the name, just the fact that nobody really even knew what it was. It didn't get a lot of press or anything else like that. But as far as like a film goes, you can really see kind of like the European style of tension and stuff that is built up in the film. I don't even know if the guy's European or not, but he's definitely employing that same style of filmmaking. Like the whole scene where you never really know if he's going to run over the guy in his car and all that stuff. It goes on for like 20 minutes where you're not sure what's going to happen. When he's got the guy that hit on Rachel Nichols' character tied up in a chair, and he's kind of threatening to do something to him, but you're not really sure. That whole thing is very old school.
And, yeah, I mean, the atmosphere of the movie is pretty old school, too. It reminded me a little bit of Dawn of the Dead. Just the way, because everything's set in this parking garage pretty much, and there's nobody there.
Yeah. So the main thing that it really has to concentrate on is the build-up between these 2 characters, the story behind it, and just the amount of tension and, I don't know how else to explain it. Just the level of terror that the guy could create. It's
a new level of terror.
Well, it's not really anything new as far as, the tension or anything like that goes, but it is definitely very confident, at least, which is more than I can say for half the stuff that gets released.
Yeah, so, of course, that's P2, and unfortunately, it didn't become the hit that it should have become. I mean, I think that we both highly recommend it and definitely urge everyone to go check it out. Summit Entertainment.
A special thank you goes out to our supporters on Patreon. The Patreon website has a complete archive of the Dead Pit radio shows starting way back in 2005, in addition to all of the midweek shows archived, commentaries, all that good stuff. If you're interested, and we appreciate all the support, go to www.patreon.com/IntoTheDeadPit. Tiers start as low as $1 per month.